Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
The Da Vinci Surgical System is the most advanced platform for minimally invasive surgery available in the world today. The integration of high-resolution 3D vision, wristed instruments, and intuitive motion control enable the Da Vinci surgeon to transcend the limitations of conventional surgical technologies, making new minimally invasive options possible for complex surgical procedures. Three network components comprise the Da Vinci Surgical System: an ergonomic surgeon's console, a patient-side cart with 4 interactive robotic arms, and a high-definition 3D vision system. Seated at the console, the Da Vinci surgeon views a remarkably clear 3D image of the surgical field. The system scales, filters, and translates the movements of the surgeon's hands on the master controllers to 4 interactive robotic arms on the patient cart. The Da Vinci S HD system provides a magnified view that is both three-dimensional and high definition. The result is a phenomenal, immersive experience of surgery. The precisely controlled micro-movements of the Da Vinci instruments are enabled by the computer processors of the system. These dedicated processors perform millions of safety checks over the course of a procedure for enhanced surgical precision and control. Da Vinci EndoWrist instruments are designed with a unique wristed architecture that provides 7 degrees of freedom for a range of motion greater than even the human wrist. This proprietary design enables surgical maneuvers impossible with conventional laparoscopic tools. As the surgeon operates at the console, the Da Vinci system filters out hand tremor and translates his controlling motions to the articulating tips of the EndoWrist instruments. The Da Vinci system also provides motion scaling that enables the surgeon to tailor the ratio of his hand movements to a corresponding micro-movement at the instrument tip. The system requires that every surgical maneuver is under the direct control of the surgeon. Redundant safety checks prevent autonomous movement of the instruments or the robotic arms. The Da Vinci S surgical system adds to the enabling characteristics of the original Da Vinci to streamline surgery for the entire OR team. Da Vinci S provides fast, foolproof setup, including a motorized patient cart for simplified docking, simple click-lock cannulas, rapid instrument exchange. Unlike conventional laparoscopic surgery, the robotic arms move around a fixed pivot point to reduce port site trauma for improved cosmesis and increased overall precision. The future of surgery includes enhanced visualization, superior instrument dexterity, and operative efficiency in a tightly integrated system. The Da Vinci S surgical system moves surgery forward with a new level of technical capability that enables minimally invasive surgery in complex procedures as never before.
Thank you very much for joining us. You're watching a very special edition of the MedFiles program. I am your host, Marianne Bogowaisha. Now, as you can see, this is a special edition of the MedFiles program because we have 2 guests in studio, and we have with us Dr. Ajit Saxena, who is a urologist and andrologist who's visiting the country from New Delhi, India. And we have Simon Karo, who is the CEO of Pathway International, one of the local companies in Nairobi. Dr. Saxena, yes, first of all, I'd like to say Karibu Kenya.
Asante.
And then Karibu to Three Stones TV.
Thank you very much.
And Mr. Karo, you've been to Three Stones before. Once again, we say Karibu Sana.
Thank you, Maria.
And so today we're going to be talking about something that might be a little bit complex for our viewers, but I'm sure by the end of the program it won't be as complex.
Right.
And that is robotic surgery. So I'd like to start with a brief explanation from you, Dr. Saxena. You actually pioneered the very first robotic surgery conference in Asia.
Yes, that was in 2005.
Yeah. So the first thing would be, what is robotic surgery?
And before that, can I wish my friends in Kenya habari?
Yes, you can.
Thank you very much. And it's been great being here. The robot that we are talking about, it's a clever machine, and it's something that people did not even imagine earlier on. There's a short history behind it. In the 70s, Armstrong landed onto the moon using a buggy. That buggy was the robot, and that was the first robot ever designed in the world.
Yeah.
Now, after its movement on the moon, it went into disrepute and it was discarded. There's a gentleman called Peter Smith who had a brilliant idea. He bought this robot from the company and developed into what is now known as Da Vinci robot.
Yes. So the Da Vinci robot is the robot that performs surgeries that we're talking about, the robotic surgeries.
Yes. Let me tell you a bit about that. This is a revolutionary concept. The surgeon is not next to the patient. He's nowhere near the table.
Yeah.
He's sitting on a console somewhere far away, but in the room, of course.
In the same room.
So that's because of the communication. He can jolly well be on in the next room and still work.
Yeah.
The robot has three parts to it.
Yeah.
There's the body, which stands next to the patient.
Yeah.
There is a patient cart on which we have all the lights, the diathermy and a monitor, and the console behind which the surgeon sits. Now if you imagine that he's handling joysticks, remember the joysticks we use
Yes,
for video games?
Yes.
It's similar to that. And that's why it's so fun, because it's like a game.
It's fun.
No, I'm just joking, but these finger movements are what works the robot next to the patient.
Yeah. Okay. So Simon, I think from you would like to know what the situation is in this country where robotic surgery and this kind of high-tech technology in the medicine world is at in Kenya.
Okay, I think one of the things I can mention is where we're at in Kenya as far as cancer treatment. One of the great things about this robot, it's able to really treat a wide variety of some cancer ailments which are really affecting a lot of Kenyans. In Kenya, there are 80,000 cases diagnosed annually of cancer. And the key word I use is diagnosed. Those are the people who have gone to a hospital and they've been told, yes, you have cancer.
So
There are many people who are in the rural area who we hear have passed away
been diagnosed.
and they just pass away. And the startling fact is that 80,000 of these people, the mortality rate is 75%. 75% of
That's
these
high.
people end up dying because they go too late or the appropriate treatment is not given. So in Kenya, for example, with Dr. Saxena, we've been meeting with a lot of our doctors locally and discussing this new Da Vinci robot and what it can bring and what it means to Kenya.
Yeah.
This robot that was invented is a brilliant idea. It's doing some magnificent work. I've been fortunate enough to be in New Delhi, specifically at Apollo Hospitals, where my friend here works.
Yeah.
And they've shown me around and I've been truly amazed and astounded at the capabilities and capacity to perform surgeries. So prostate cancers, for example, I'm sure doctor will talk about them,
Yeah.
very common with men. This robot is able to do complete prostatectomy. And in the US right now, I think they're usually faster. 80% of the people who want a prostatectomy go for the Da Vinci robot.
Okay. Define that big word you've just used, prostatectomy.
I'll leave that to the doctor.
It's
Right.
a removal of the prostate gland because it's got some cancerous elements in it. Cancerous meaning uncontrolled growth.
Yeah. So it's used in cases of prostate cancer.
Yes, in which case we remove the entire prostate gland. Now this has to be differentiated from a transurethral resection of the prostate, which is done for prostate growths into the urethra. they are not cancerous.
Mhm.
They're benign, and they are done through the urethra itself.
Mhm.
But if there is cancer in the prostate, then the entire gland has to be removed, and for that purposes, various armamentarium has been developed.
Mhm.
The problem with the prostate in men is that they have a very narrow pelvis, and it's deep down in that hole that one has to dig out the prostate gland. So you put your hand there, there's no space for to see anything in there.
Mhm.
Now the robotic arm, as you will see, is very slim, and instead of the whole arm being there, it's just a little pencil type of thing which goes, and then the surgeon can manipulate it.
Mhm.
The other advantage that I find is that human arm, you rotate it, you cannot rotate even at 180 degrees.
Mhm.
But with a robotic arm, you can go 360 degrees.
Goes right round.
Goes right round.
Mhm.
And that has an advantage in suturing, in getting the tissue precisely at the tissue that you want to get, and in working in the depth.
Mhm.
The magnification is about 10 times, which means that even RBC appears to be such a big size
Mhm.
that bleeding is not an issue, which is the problem with laparoscopic and open prostatectomies.
The ordinary
Yeah, or
conventional,
conventional
kind of
ones.
surgery.
And that's what we're doing in Kenya. We're doing the
Yes.
open and the laparoscopic surgeries right now in Kenya.
Mhm.
That's what's happening right now in Kenya.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The laparoscopic is working, but I think the Da Vinci robot is now something that we I would love personally to see
To see coming
here
to Kenya.
at home.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So you talk of the arm, you talk of the pencil. So I'd like to understand how exactly this device works.
Miriam, it's like this.
Mhm.
The whole system is connected. The body of the robot standing next to the patient cart, on which the diathermy, the light source are kept, they're kept on the other side,
Mhm.
and there's this surgeon console which is kept a little distance away from the table, and the surgeon is sitting behind the console. Now when he moves the fingers here, that is translated into the body of the robot, which moves the instruments
Mhm.
robotically, mechanically.
Yeah.
So you want the instrument to move 5 degrees, you can do that by manipulating the fingers.
Mhm. So all that movement then translates into
Yes,
the inside of the patient.
inside of the patient.
Okay.
And as I mentioned earlier, we are working in a deep dark hole where magnification is more than welcome,
Yes. And light.
and light. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. That's the
Mhm.
biggest advantage.
So how does the light problem? How is the light problem settled or sorted out?
Because we are using a lens in which they've got fibers in it,
Mhm.
which carry the light down to the bottom of the lens,
Mhm.
and that gives a very good clear picture.
Mhm.
Plus it's magnified.
Mhm.
There's one other point that the robot has got an advantage on. Every surgeon has got some sort of a tremor or not on average while operating. No matter how steady your hands are, there is still the
The
fine
basic human.
basic
little
human
shake,
tremor.
yeah.
Yeah, but that is negated by the robot, and you
Mhm.
can leave a rock steady hand and pick up exactly the tissue that you want to go to.
Mhm.
Of course, one big advantage is that if you leave it in the position, it will stay in that position,
Mhm.
and the surgeon can go and have a cup of coffee and come back
Okay. Without
no need
causing
to-
any problem to
without
the
causing any
patient.
problem at all.
Uh-huh.
No need to stress out.
Mhm.
Just take it easy and do it at leisure.
All right. So you deal with tremors. Then the other thing that the other benefits that say the patient would get, the size of the
Incision.
incision on
Yes.
the patient.
Oh yes, absolutely.
What differences would one see there?
From an open prostatectomy to robotic, there's a lot of difference.
Mhm.
The size of incision in open prostatectomy is from the umbilicus down to the pubis. It's a big incision
Mhm.
to take out a small prostate. With laparoscopic and robotic, the instrument, the skin size is only half an inch, but at
I see.
3-4 places.
I see.
Eventually, these will mix up with the skin, and it won't be seen at all.
Mhm.
So that's one big advantage with this robotic as well.
All
If I
right.
can add, even I think there's lower level of pain based on the other options, and I think for other surgeries,
Mhm.
the stay in the hospital. What I experienced and saw was the stay in the hospital is much shorter. I mean, you could be saying you go to the hospital for a whole month, but with a robot, because of the quick recovery times, you're out in 4, 5 days, 7 days for the different procedures, a wide range of
see.
procedures.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if I was to choose, I'd definitely,
You would go
I
for
would
that.
definitely want to be out of hospital and back to work.
Yes, I mean,
Immediate.
there's a very important point you've raised, is because you can go exactly at the tissue that you want to go to. There's very little disturbance of the tissues of the patient, which means early recovery,
Yes.
very fast recovery.
Yes.
And we can also take out the catheter very fast and early.
Mhm.
So that means that the patient has got to lie down in the bed for less amount of time
Yeah.
and is back at work sooner than
Sooner.
expected.
Okay. So the other thing I'm wondering about is, in supposing you're doing, say, like what you're calling the prostatectomy, where you're taking out the prostate, or you're
Right.
taking out, say, fibroids, or there's actually a mass or physical
Yeah.
thing that you need to take out. How do you then deal with that? Because you can
That's a very
then
intelligent question.
cut.
Very intelligent.
Mhm.
Because you've got very small incisions. How are you going to take that big?
How are you going to take it? Actually, take it out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have got tissue recovery bags. These are plastic bags which you put inside the body and put the tissue into this plastic bag and then pull the bag out. Usually through this umbilical incision, we have to just increase the incision by half an inch or more and then slowly wriggle the tissue
Bag out.
with the plastic out. It's not that difficult. It appears to be horrendous,
Very
but
fascinating. Yeah, it sounds fascinatingly a bit disturbing, horrendous, like you're saying.
but
So
it's easily done
Mhm.
because human body, the skin is stretchable.
I see.
So even if you have a bigger mass, it comes
Mhm.
out,
Mhm.
and then after the stretch is over,
Mhm.
it comes back to its original position.
I see. Okay. So, with this sort of almost unbelievable technology, what sort of costs are we talking about? First and foremost, for the patient,
Right.
and then we'll go to also the costs that, say, the institution would need to incur to acquire the equipment. But first, I think for the patient, for a standard surgery that would be done, say, to extract a fibroid, to extract a prostate, what's the difference in cost?
Maybe I can say any new technology obviously in the beginning is expensive. I know if you can remember when Kenya just first got mobiles, the mobile was 250,000.
250,000.
Now anybody can get a mobile for 2,500 shillings.
Yeah.
So it's a new surgery.
Mhm.
It's still under patent, I think, till 2016. Is that
2016, yes.
2016?
That's
The
right.
gentleman who developed it from NASA still has a patent on the machine till 2016. So right now, for example, a prostatectomy would cost you, say, probably around $6,000 US, which if I translate quickly and roughly would be about 550,000 Kenya shillings for
Okay.
the procedure.
Yeah.
And I think with time and as the patent law goes, that price will go down. As we get more surgeons trained, which is something we're actually working on, together with Apollo Hospitals, Pathway International and Apollo Hospitals have partnered together to train Kenyan doctors and prepare them when that machine does come to Kenya. Yes.
All right. That's one of the other things is, do we have doctors? Are you going to start training doctors like from scratch? Are you going to have to ferry them from Kenya to India or wherever this sort of technology is being used? Or how are you going to ensure that you have staff who are able to use
I think
this kind of machines?
one of the things Dr. Saxena has been doing during his stay here has been introducing the concept. Number one, we went and spoke to doctors who are specialized in urology, students who want to venture into urology, and as well as other fields that would use the robotic surgery. So that's a good market. We started from there. We also have been speaking with older doctors, the more experienced doctors, and together with them we have worked on a package of MOU where we take them for training for free, our doctors, get them exposed to robotic surgeries and how it's done. So when it does come, we do have that skill set. Again, I would say this, a robot is a fantastic machine, but it's the man behind the machine that makes it good.
Yes.
Well
yes.
said.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing, Miriam. Days not far when a person sitting in Delhi would be able to operate on a patient in Nairobi. The only problem right now is a time lag of about 2-3 seconds, which may be important in case there is a bleed. But otherwise, it's very much possible.
Mm-hmm.
And something like this was tried in Paris,
Mm.
and the only reason they couldn't continue with it was because of the time lapse.
Mm-hmm.
So tomorrow we don't know, they might get hold of this time lapse problem,
Mm-hmm.
and then even though the robot is in Delhi, people will be operated here locally.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh,
Dr. Saxena will sit in Delhi
And operate on
with his
somebody
joystick.
in a Nairobi hospital.
Absolutely, that's technology
Oh,
for you.
That's technology.
Okay.
Yeah, it's only the internet that was a bit slow, maybe in Paris.
So what another thing that you mentioned was a big problem is in the event of a bleed.
Yes.
So then how do you handle a bleed?
We always tell our patients that there is a small percentage where it might be, we might have to convert it into laparoscopic or even open,
Open.
because you cannot guarantee for any operation,
Mm.
whether you're a robot or not. There are a certain percentage of cases
Mm-hmm.
who will not do that as well as the others do.
Mm-hmm.
So we tell them about this,
Mm-hmm.
but touch wood, I haven't had any problem up to
Mhm.
now
Mm-hmm.
on that account. But yes, in case there is a major bleed, then there is
You have to open
open it up, and we've got all open instruments already set up in the theatre.
in the event.
There is another surgeon who's standing by the robot, and he very quickly opens up the.
Okay, all right. So for you, Simon, who you can give us a very small brief of what Pathway International does, the organization that you represent. What does this mean for Pathway?
What Pathway does is we're a medical travel company that really focuses on developing doctors. We really work with doctors in Kenya. We believe doctors are the backbone of the healthcare industry, and we want to play our role in Vision 2030 to make Kenya the destination for medical tourists. Right now, India is the destination global in the world.
Yes.
Everybody's going to India, and I, in Pathway, born. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to learn from our partners
Sure.
and bring those technologies to
Here.
Kenya
Mm.
and provide people with opportunity to even right now be able to go, for example, if it's to India,
Mm.
to go and get this treatment. Right now, if you're sitting here in Kenya, Pathway International can connect you to the best doctor, to the best technologies globally, wherever that may be,
Mm.
because we've done our work, we've done our research, and that's what we do. We connect people who have medical needs that are not locally available in their locality and take them to the place where they can get the best treatment
Treatment
and provide the whole support services.
that they would require.
Can
So-
I, on behalf of Apollo Hospital and myself,
Mhm.
say to Simon, Karibu.
Asante sana.
Alright. So just going on that thread, don't you think that perhaps this introduction of this kind of technology and other forms of very advanced technology would work against Pathway? Because then, you know, people can get what they've been going out for here.
That's a very good question. It will work actually for Pathway 100%. Like I said, our goal is to be the premier medical company, and I think right now we are. Our Vision 2030, medical tourism is a key pillar of the medical sector. Kenya will be the destination. Right now it is the destination. We have some of the finest, best doctors in the region. If you look at places like South Sudan, Juba, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda. So Pathway is already bringing patients in from that region into Kenya
I see.
to, for example, receive laparoscopic surgery.
Surgery.
So if I was in a different locality, I'd be talking about laparoscopic. If I was in Uganda, for example, I'd be talking
Bring
about,
them in here.
yeah.
Okay.
So Pathway is actually ideally placed to ensure that we continue developing Kenya's skill set. So Kenya becomes, that's one of our biggest pillars, is to develop Kenya as the institution. 30 years ago, Apollo did not have, India did not have MRI. Apollo did not have, could not do any cardiology procedures.
Right.
They had never done kidney transplants. That's 30 years ago, 1983. I'm sure that was way before you were born, Marianne. But in 1983, India was behind. MRI. Now
Yeah.
Kenya has over 10 MRIs.
Yeah.
Nothing is impossible. I believe nothing is impossible. People out there may be saying robotic surgery is out there. It's something that is far. But I truly believe it's something that can be achieved and actually even that time shortened and develop that skill set and bring that service to
to
Kenyans.
Kenya
Here in Kenyans and also people in the regions.
in the region.
And
in
what could-
essence, bringing it
yeah.
to Kenya, you've brought it to the region.
Absolutely, and I'd say we've partnered with Pathway Pathway International and Apollo Hospitals have partnered to even develop we have an Apollo Information Center here in Kenya where people can be able to come in and access Apollo services, talk to Dr. Sakena, get advice if you need to travel. We're able to provide all that with our partners. So I think the future is looking bright, and technology is going to definitely make it brighter.
Yes. All right. So we talked about the cost. You talked about 500,000 shillings for a standard prostate surgery.
Yeah.
How about the equipment? What would a Kenyan hospital need to invest to get it here?
I think that the patent right now is very high because of the patent laws. It's a bit expensive. So I think it's if I'm correct, we were discussing that and debating what the actual cost was. I would take a rough guess. It's about 1 million to 1.5 million for the machine. Each arm is it
$1,000.
$1,000.
Each arm.
Yeah, that's what makes it
They
actually
need
a bit
about
expensive.
3 or 4 arms in
I
one
see.
operation.
And those are discarded. They're disposable. So when you talk about doing a prostatectomy at 6,000, so if, for example, he'll use 3 of them, that's 3,000 for those pieces. Obviously, with more production, as people develop more Nokias and so forth, that cost will go
Will
down.
go down.
Yeah, so that's why it's a bit expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so about 1 million. So you're saying
And sorry, and maintenance for the machine right now is pretty high.
okay.
Yearly, I think the machine to maintain is 100,000, which is about 8.5 million Kenya shillings. Whether you do 1 or 100, 200, the annual cost for maintaining that machine is 8.5 million Kenya shillings.
So